Because we got the space repainted a few weeks ago, so they had to take everything down. It doesn't matter if it's straight, that's not how this works. Yeah, that's our motto. Yeah. And then we have when I was 12, I'd realized I was trans and had come out at school. Well, this space is fully a home for me. I have had my best and worst moments here. But yeah, it's just homey. There's a reason I've spent the last 4 years here. It's because I very much like it and feel comfortable and safe here.
I think that we can all agree that middle school and high school are incredibly difficult. And when you compound that with having identities that are outside of people's assumptions, you can then be dealing with bullying and lack of acceptance.
There's blatant homophobic remarks that would often go unchecked, which is very common in middle school and high school. There would be just disrespect from students and staff. It is grueling and frustrating and humiliating at times, and it makes you want to scream into voids and punch the walls. Being a teenager is hard. Being a queer teenager is hard. Going through puberty and dealing with your mental health. At the time, I was miserable.
And unfortunately, we see higher rates of suicide, depression, anxiety in queer young people, and it's not because they're queer, it's because of the way that their identities are marginalized and the violence against the queer community that we see across the world.
When I first walked into Generation Q, it immediately felt comfortable and relaxing, like I could just sit down and breathe. I went every single day, since, because it was the only place that felt good and comfortable and oh, these people like me and I like being here and I like talking to these people and I feel comfortable and okay here.
Generation Q is a community space where LGBTQ and allied youth can come to find support, to build community, to build friendships, to find mentors that will hopefully serve as a springboard for what's next.
From the person that started going to Gen Q to the person now, I was very insecure, I was very self-conscious, and a lot of imposter syndrome. I didn't know what I was doing. You see our library, board game closet, and counseling space, as well as maintenance closet, all rolled into one. This is where we play Dungeons and Dragons. But yeah, we have this big couch that I remember when Lindsay bought it. Throughout my time at Generation Q, I became just happier, just a lot happier. I learned a lot about myself. I grew in ways that I truly thought were impossible back then.
We also see a great need for advocacy in schools. While New York City does a wonderful job of implementing policy guidelines around support for queer individuals, that trickle down of information is not always happening.
Going to your teacher and being hey, you're misgendering me, students are calling me slurs. The process of advocating for yourself is very, very difficult because a lot of times you'll get dismissed and that makes you feel like crap.
James has done so much advocacy in school, knows his rights, and to then go to this educator who just blatantly disregarded any of this and really was dismissive was really upsetting for James, rightfully so. Based on James's experience and those of some of our other Gen Q participants, we recognize the need for these PSAs as a tool to help kids advocate for themselves in middle school and high school.
Generation Q welcomed my input on the language and graphic designs used in the PSA. My hope is that these videos will help other queer kids to advocate for themselves and to have a more positive experience in school than I had. Without Generation Q, I probably would be a lot more lost. Finding Gen Q and the friends, community, mentors, the skills, the advocacy, very conducive to the healing process that comes with being a queer kid.